All right. This video is about children and what we can do to be in the lives of children. You know, there's a lot of talk in the manosphere about don't date women with children, and I've always thought, what is it about these children haters? Because in my family, men do date women with children, and women date men with children. Like, we just like children. We do not have this hatred towards children. So I was always very curious about it. Um, Maybe some of it has to do with women who are like broken or damaged. You don't want them, or children who are going to hate you, which I get. But to me, it's a great privilege to be involved in the life of a child. It's a great privilege. And one of my greatest privileges in my life was when I was a mom. I mean, I'm still a mom, but my kids are all grown and moved away and self-supporting. But um, that was a great privilege that I was able to love and mentor these beings that came into my life. And now I'm a grandmother, and I have that same privilege with my grandchildren. You know, when I was married, we had a young lady who was kicked out from her foster parents' house, lived with us for a year. She was 18 at the time, and I loved her like my own kids. My ex-husband in his dating, he included the kids of the women he was dating into the fold. We bring them into the fold. That's kind of the idea. I don't get all this child hatred stuff. We had exchange students and so on. I just wanted to say that children are a blessing. They are very innocent. They need leadership. They need mentorship. They need love. And in the way that I grew up, my family, and in my heart, children are a blessing. Now, some children, if they're not raised well, if they're abused, they can be very damaged and very hateful. Like, sometimes it's hard to have a relationship with them. I'm not saying that you should if you don't want to, or if they hate you. But one of my really good friends is getting married right now to like this really hot guy who's like so in love with her. And she has children. Yes. And he's super freaking hot. But anyway, this video is inspired by a video that was made by Big Ward the Genius, in which he pointed out that there are a lot of single moms out there. You don't have to date them, but maybe you have a single mom in your family, and you can step in and help be involved in the lives of those kids. You could take the kids out to play ball, like say it's a boy. You can take him out, teach him how to throw a ball, or it could even be a girl. How to throw a ball, take them to a game, teach them how to ride a bike. And apparently in the comments, some of the people were saying, well, we don't want to, encourage these single moms to just hook up and have children out of wedlock or whatever. But there are a lot of reasons that a woman can end up being a single mom. Divorce happens for a number of reasons, and this is about the children. And you do not have to date single moms, but you have a single mom in your family. And there are also single dads. I've met single dads where the mom ran off and the dad was raising the kids. Do you have a single mom or single dad in your life? Because they can't do the role of two parents. When I was married, I was fortunate that I had a husband who was very involved. I did some things with the kids. He did a lot of the dad things with the kids. Teaching them how to ride a four-wheel, teaching them how to work on cars, do home improvement projects. He took them out to do sporting types of things. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had time to teach my kids how to swim or ride a bike. But if you have a working mother, she doesn't have time to do all that. Someone has to take the kids out to teach them how to ride a bike, take them places, the symphony, the opera, the art museum, the park, the trails, teach them how to cook. It's just a lot to raise a child, and it's a great privilege. Children really adore the adults. That's what they do, and it's very loving. They're just very loving. Now, when I was younger, I guess I was maybe 20, I signed up to be in like the Big Brother Big Sister program. They did turn me down. They're very picky, but if you don't know any single moms, you could be a big brother, a big sister, um, or another option is I donate to an organization called Boys to Men. I donate $100 a month. I'm just throwing that out there because I've been doing it for a few years. You can donate money to organizations where people actually work with boys or girls. You can volunteer in any kind of capacity in the lives of children. I was very struck by the idea that so many people don't like children. Um, if you're a dad who ran off, sometimes dads run off and leave their children, and then they feel so guilty about it that they don't want to acknowledge that and they just stay gone. If you ran off, it's not too late. You can still make amends. You can still say, I really messed up and I'm going to be here to face it. Tell me how my leaving impacted you. You have to just face up to it. I just don't get all this child hatred. I love kids. um, I would totally, if something happened to one of my kids, I would raise my grandkids. I would totally do it. I love kids. It's a great privilege to be in the life of a child. Sometimes men say these things like, I don't want to pay for someone else's child. There's a channel I follow, Jack Morgan, and nothing against him, but he has a thing where he says, oh, I go to a party and I bring my girlfriend, and then people say, oh, what about your kids? And then I have to say, those are not my kids. He thinks it's great embarrassment. It's not. It's a great strength, a source of strength and power to say that I am generous enough and huge enough that I can bring these children into my life. But the thing is, the children have to respect the man. If you date a single mom, the children must respect you. And some of these single moms are very damaged. They have a revolving door of men. The children are very damaged. So I would not date a mom whose children are damaged or who disrespect you or that she spoils her kids. I would really look at her parenting style before you date her for sure. You have to be careful. But in your own family or for volunteering, it's really good. There are a lot of single moms out there and the dads have just run off. That's really all I want to say in this video. I've known men in my life who volunteered to help with kids. They didn't have kids of their own. They wanted to volunteer with kids, whether it was like a surf club or something. We also have male teachers, and you hear a lot of people talking about, it was my science teacher, it was my coach who really inspired me to be a better person. We cannot blame these single moms and try to punish them for having had sex with someone who blew them off. I mean, there was a man who blew them off. And, just continue to blow off these women doesn't help. What I always tell women, there are a lot of women who just get pregnant. And by the way, I learned something recently that the abortion rate is abortions are pretty much just in the Black community. The abortions are pretty much just in the Black community because they don't use birth control. They don't have access to birth control. It's a different kind of culture I'm not familiar with. I made videos in the past about how Black people need to be more accountable to their children. And people were hating on me like, you have no right to talk about our community. You should stay in your own lane. And so I just stopped talking about it. But that's where we have the highest rates of single moms, teenage pregnancy, abortions, and poverty, and children without fathers is in the Black community. And that's where I think our good role models like Big Ward the Genius are super important in that community. I mean, there's brokenness in all communities. Let's be real. I mean, every person I know who was sexually abused was sexually abused by a white person, sexually abused by their white father, their white grandfather, their white priest. There's brokenness in all of society. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to talk about this anymore because I don't want to offend people, insult people. Um, I want to be respectful. But anyway, there are single moms in all communities, and having a relationship with a child is a great privilege because children are not objects or property. Guys who are like, I'm not going to raise someone else's mom. It's my child. It's my money. I would totally. I make my own money. No one gives me money. Okay. I would totally spend my money on kids, and I still do. I help out kids. Like I said, I donate. I buy things from my grandkids. I love giving to children. I love giving to children. I just like children. If you don't like children, here's a little thing. Well, people who don't like children already stopped watching the video, but if you don't like children, I invite you to make peace with your own childhood. And if you have a photo of yourself as a baby, is to just pull out that photo and just love yourself. Love yourself as a child. Some people were never loved as children and they feel like I was never loved, so I don't want to love anyone else. I just don't feel like loving anyone. Just start opening your heart to yourself and to children. Children, unlike adults, especially small children, are really innocent. They're really helpless. And they adore the adults who do things with them. They don't yet have an ego. If you can get involved in the life of a child that's pretty young, but people who have children also need to know how to raise them well. I have a playlist in the parenting section. I have to finish making it. There's a course called Active Parenting. Children need love and they need boundaries. Freedom with responsibility. You cannot spoil your children because that will ruin them. You cannot entitle them. They have to feel part of the family. They have to participate. There's just a whole thing. So I could see that if you were, around a child who was a brat or who was like mean and the mom just was like not paying attention and you have to see that, I could see why you wouldn't want to be involved in that. I wouldn't either, frankly. But there have to be some ways that we can give back. Anyway, I just saw that video and I was just inspired to talk again about children because I always hear this thing in the manosphere: do not date single moms. I was never a single mom, so I'm speaking from privilege. And privilege is not a nasty word. There are people who are privileged. Now I'm divorced, that's not privileged anymore. People who are privileged provide some stability to society. So I think it's okay for some people to have it easy. They provide some stability, some guideposts. So, it is what it is. And from that perspective, I can say that my children really benefited from having two parents who loved them and a stable home life, and it turned out very well. And I have some of my friends have children and they're single moms, and I see how hard it is. They have to work, they come home, they're tired, and the kids need attention. The kids need attention. It's not just about helping the mom, it's about the kids. Someone has to teach them how to, throw a ball or roller skate or ride a bike or do their homework. Work with tools, do some sewing or whatever. Our society has become so full of hatred for children. I saw something on YouTube recently where someone was complaining about children crying on the airplane. Just very infuriating. Babies cry. Children cry. We were all children. We all cried. What do you want? Someone to slap you when you were a baby and cried on the airplane? People have such low tolerance. And when I was a young mom, I saw children everywhere. Every time I went to Target, the whole store was full of moms with children. In the shopping cart, babies walking, baby carriers. I hardly ever see children anymore. Hardly ever. It's pretty rare that I see a baby. Very rare. And I'm out and about. I work from home. I'm out and about during the day. When stay-at-home moms are out shopping, I hardly ever see a mom anymore with children. Maybe they're all working now. I don't know. Fewer people are having children. Um, and people act like children are such a nuisance. We were all children once. What is this thing about hating children? I don't get it. When I got divorced, I was like, I wanted to date a guy in his 40s with children, and I still would. But that's too complicated because they never accept you as the own parent. And now I'm a grandma, so I get to be in the lives of my grandchildren, which is a blessing to me. A blessing. But you know what they say about grandmas, you don't have to see them all the time. Because I did my own share of nursing, night shifts, sleepless nights, nursing the babies and all of that. But I like children better than adults. Put it that way. I like children better than adults. They're so sweet. They're so interested in everything. They're so curious. And they really just adore the adults. And we get an opportunity to teach them, to mentor them, to give them boundaries, and you have to be willing for them to not like you. You have to be willing to tell them no, give them boundaries, and they turn out the better for it. You can teach them about whatever you're into, whether it's, your motorcycle or your cooking, a sport, if you like to go out on the trails or swim, play an instrument, go bowling, just be at home, read a book, do some kind of craft, just throw a ball, just talk to them, sing, whatever you like to do, you can bring it into the life of a child. Teach them how to tie a shoe, how to write, how to read, help them with their homework. Take them places. They love being outside. I remember years ago, my kids were in middle school and we lived out in the boonies, and the neighbor we had never been to the beach. Now, we lived about a half-hour drive from the beach. Her parents had never taken her to the beach. Can you believe that? So I took her to the beach. You can take them to the opera, to a play, to a football game, to a restaurant, just whatever you like to do, just take them with you. Children are such a blessing. But again, I've been fortunate that I've only known children who were like easier to get along with. Some kids, if the mom has spoiled them, the stories are horrible that I've heard. Where the 24-year-old is still living at home and sleeping all day, and the mom's like, has coddled him her whole life, and he's just useless. Or moms who have revolving doors of men, so the children are very guarded and very anxious and angry, and so they hate every man that comes into the mom's life. So if you're dating a single mom, I think you really have to look at her parenting style and whether her child bonds with you, because if that's not going right, that's a disaster that can never go well. That can never go well. But, if you're a dad, be involved in your child's life. If you have family that has kids, get involved in their lives. You can also volunteer. I don't know if they still have big brothers and big sisters. Donate to an organization that helps children in some way. And yeah, this video is about honoring the children. We were all once children, and children, unlike adults, they're innocent. They're helpless. They're dependent. They're innocent and they're curious. And it's just a beautiful life experience to be involved in the life of a child. I can't even tell you You know, when you come home and they run up to you and mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy. And they'll do that for their uncle, their aunt, you know. They bond very, very easily. That's also why I think that single moms or dads have to be careful about introducing other adults into their children's lives. Like, after I got divorced, I was dating some women briefly, and this one woman, she had adopted a few kids. And I didn't like that she brought her kids around right away. And they were so sweet. I really liked them. And when, you know, she and I stopped seeing each other, I kept thinking, what do these kids think? These kids think I don't like them anymore, but I couldn't see them without having a relationship with her. That bothered me a lot. I think that people have to be careful about when they introduce their kids to other people. Kids need stability. That's good for them. But anyway, that's all I want to say on this video. Thank you so much for watching.